Hello and welcome to the first Santos on Sports of the NFL season. Along with my partner Chris Santos, I am Paul Santos. Thank you to our sponsors, Scotty's Pub of Fall River, Citywide Glass, Lakeville Athletic Club, and attorney John Seed for helping us out here on Santos on Sports. Chris, wasn't it fun just to turn on that television and see all that great NFL action, huh?
Yeah, Sunday is just a fun day, week one, and you're waiting for the excitement, Paul, to say which game's going to bring out the best. And it was just so much fun. And let's give credit where credit's due. And it's the first time I'm going to do this on this show since we've started. I am giving Paul Santos all the credit in the world. He said New England would go into Cincinnati and beat the Bengals, and he was correct. Congratulations, Paul. You called it. You didn't guarantee it, but you called it and said they would win. A good win for you and the New England Patriots.
Well, thank you very much for taking the victory lap for me.
Yep.
That way I don't look like, I'm conceited or something like that,
Nope.
like you're doing it for
Nope.
me. I appreciate that. No,
Oh,
really, I got to tell you, there were a couple of things I was thinking, right? It wasn't
yep.
any kind of brilliant analysis. I was lucky, obviously, but I had seen how Cincinnati really struggled at the beginning of the season. And I was thinking, combine that with the fact that the Patriots do have a very good defense, a lot of good players left over from last year, another year's experience. Some good players even on offense, the running game, Stevenson and so forth. So I looked at those two things, the Patriots being better than what people thought. You combine that with Cincinnati always getting off to a bad start. Plus, Kansas City is the next game that Cincinnati has. So maybe they kind of looked over the Patriots. And I'm thinking, this is one of those gotcha games. And it just felt like the moon and the stars were lining up. So it was great, though. I really enjoyed watching that game. It was a little bit of a grind. It was one of those little stomach turning games where every single play seemed to be so important, especially as you get into the second half. But it was nice. It was really nice. I was really happy for the new head coach, Gerard Mayo, who's been under a lot of scrutiny before he even got his first game.
Right. So that goes to our question to the audience tonight. Are the Pats for real, or is this just a fluke? Because as Paul just stated, what Cincinnati has been through in the past, how they've not come out strong over the last few years. They have not done well in game number one. And then you sit back and say, okay, Jamar Chase has had some issues with this team. Burrow has been injured. Is he really healthy? There's a lot going on there. So, call us or chat with us and let us know. Are the Pats for real, or was this just a fluke? Because to me, with Seattle up next, it's your home opener. Again, you sit back and I'm going to tell you, Paul, to me, this defense is what I thought it should be. Because here was a team that came in a couple of years ago, playoffs. Last year, still thought they had a good defense. I think they've gotten a little bit better this year with Gonzalez back. Yeah, they got rid of Judon, but I think they can still work around that. And so now I feel, to me, that's their base. Now, did I think the offensive line, 25 carries, 120 yards for Stevenson would carry this team on the run? Could Brissett maintain the game? Not great stats. 15 for 24, 121. Got the job done, but no turnovers. And just sit back and say, I can run this offense and get it done, and then we'll stop them. Now, yes, they did this. Can they continue this kind of momentum? It's DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Kenneth Walker III, Geno Smith. If they get to Geno Smith, force this guy, I think they can make things happen, make some turnovers, and still play great defense, and possibly be 2-0 because this defense is not that bad. Think about that playoff that you talked about last year, the distraction with Patricia and Judge and who's going to do whatever. But right now it's, okay, we're set with what we have. We're going to focus how good this defense can be, and we're going to find a way to get some offense. They did it in game one, but can they establish and maintain the next games after that? That's why the question is real or a fluke. What do you think?
What about you, Chris? Where do you lean?
I'm leaning for, I think they're real, but I don't think they're a playoff team.
Okay.
They're real enough to compete. They're real enough to force teams to say, whoa, watch out. New England's not that bad, and we got to play our best. But I still don't think they're that kind of team to say, all right, I'm going to get 9 or 10 wins and make the playoffs. You know what I need? I need 5 wins. Besides that, I don't even want to go there. My goal is 1 game at a time. I'm not saying they're a fluke. I'm not saying they're real and legit. I just think they're a decent team that people need to look out for, and it starts with the creative defense of Mayo and the boys.
I agree with you actually that I
I
think
can hear you.
I come somewhere in between.
Yep.
You know, it's not really a fluke, but
Yep.
I mean, for real, we still have to kind of see how things go because you have to give credit. They played great on defense.
Yes.
A lot of their players are good defensive players. Their offensive line was a bit of a surprise because there've been a lot of criticism. The running back, though, Stevenson, perhaps one of the better running backs in the league. You kind of forgot about him when he was out injured and stuff like that. Even Jacoby Brissett, you have to say he played a good game. He managed well. He didn't make any dumb mistakes. He kind of managed the offense pretty well. Even the field goal kicker was okay. I know he was 3 for 3 with 34 yards, but hey, he didn't miss any of them either. They really needed them. So a lot of players played really well. And again, I think you have to give credit. But the only caveat I say is it felt like everything had to go perfect. In other words, the Patriots couldn't make any mistake. And the Bengals, they made some really horrific mistakes. How about when the receiver tried to reach the ball over to kind of have the Heisman Trophy moment and stick the football over the line to get chopped right out of his hands by, I think it was Kyle Duggar. That was probably a good 10-point swing. I mean, you take some dumb play like that away, and then maybe the Patriots are in a different situation. Now, again, you got to credit Duggar, and you got to credit the Patriots. But the Bengals, they were woeful. I think it was a combination between the Patriots just kind of not making any mistakes, just kind of managing the game, doing what they had to do, and Cincinnati not playing a good game at all. But before I get your response, I'm looking at the Patriots schedule. We got Seattle next week, and then the week after that, we have the New York Jets. And, I'm thinking to myself, I watch the New York Jets, and I thought they looked terrible. I'm actually looking forward to this game against the New York Jets because, we have a New York guy that calls the show all the time.
We do.
And in fact, he's on the line right now.
Well, he's more of a Giants guy than a Jets guy, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, all right. Well, hey, New York is New York.
But that's beside the point because he'll root for either team, and I'm sure he's definitely rooting against New England. And Paul, refresh my memory. Is that first game in New York or in New England?
That first game is in New York.
Okay, so I'm sure he's going to favor the Jets, but I did not like the way they looked the other night, and I think Aaron Rodgers could be a little bit better. But again, it's only game 1. I said during the season they'll split against the Jets. Let's see what Nelson from Fall River has to say.
All right. Hello, you're on Santos on Sports. Hello, you're on Santos on Sports.
Yes, I deserve some credit too.
You do?
I sent that picture. Did you get my picture?
Let me see. He sent me a picture. You sent me by text?
Chucky. Yeah, by text. It was a Chucky one with the New England
Patriots. Oh, yes. Yes, he did. He sent a picture of Chucky dressed in a New England Patriots outfit.
Okay.
And what it says in the caption is Patriot fans yelling at their television sets for years to come. Well, not on that first day.
No. It's going to be interesting how they maintain, like it was just a little too earlier.
Yep.
But are they for real? I don't know. Are the Dallas Cowboys for real? Hell no. But I have to say, it's for a new head coach.
Mm-hmm.
It is good to get a win. I mean, a W is a W.
Yep.
But we're gonna see if they can maintain. If they can't maintain, you know what's coming. New England fans pissed off. The whole night. You know what comes with that.
Were you impressed at all with the performance of the Patriots?
On the road?
Oh, actually, I really was. You know, that momentum. You know, it's driving down the field, making stops. You know, it's everything hinges if you can if as a unit, if you all can drive down the field. That's what builds momentum. That's what builds camaraderie, and that's what makes the coach feel good. Because at the end of the day, he's the one that makes the final roster, and they have to execute, and they did.
Okay, so let's go to your team, Nelson. Let's go to New York at home against the Vikings, and then the Jets on the road at San Fran. First, the Giants, a complete beating, and then the Jets, not as good as I thought they would be, especially on defense. Without McCaffrey, I thought San Fran ran all over them. I was really surprised by that, especially without McCaffrey. Yeah. Let's start with the Giants first. What did you see from that game?
Dog doodle. That's what I saw.
Awful.
It's bad. It's bad. Look, I think the Jets are better than the Giants.
Okay.
When the Jets, when they marched down the field like that in the beginning, I was like, okay, this is looking good. But again, San Fran, they turned it up. That's what they do.
Yeah.
I think if McCaffrey was in there, I think it would have been a blowout because McCaffrey, he's a bull. He will go in there,
yep.
He'll rush in, and he'll get those the first downs or the touchdown, rushing touchdowns. But the Vikings, I think the Vikings might win that one too.
So, now, are you more of a Giants fan than a Jets fan, as Chris said before?
Yeah. More. I lean more towards the Jets.
Okay.
I think the prime is gone with the Giants. It's gonna be like that for a while. I think I see the Patriots improving faster than the Giants. I can say that with no hesitation.
All I know is the Patriots won, and both New York teams went down in flames. That's all I know.
But you know what? Before I go, I just want to say, even though football season has started, we still have baseball. Okay, New York's on top somewhere else. Okay.
Okay.
The Red Sox were winning. They'll be in the Orioles. Let's hope they win tonight. They need to do their job and make use with whatever season that they have left.
Mm-hmm.
But baseball is very intriguing. There's going to be one hell of a stretch down for October against Baltimore.
Well, we have to see
Nelson, wait a minute, Paul. Nelson, you're rooting for Boston to beat Baltimore. You got to root for the Yankees to keep winning. Forget what Boston does. Come on. You're reaching right now. If the Yankees win out, then you can say, hey, the Yankees did the job. You're rooting for other teams to help the Yankees. And you're rooting for a Boston team more than anything to help the Yankees out. Come on. You can't do that.
And by the way, Nelson, you know that the Baltimore Orioles are going to do the Dallas Cowboys imitation when they get into the big games down the road anyway. So, we are it's going to happen.
Listen. That was just a joke of me rooting for the Red Sox. I know the Yankees are going to take care of business, but I tell you, I have to say, Baltimore, I'm really proud about how they have upgraded their team because we all know them for so many years.
Thank you. I think we lost Nelson.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry, Nelson.
I think it's great for the fans instead of the big market teams,
right?
Always in the playoffs. So it's going to be interesting.
All right, Nelson. Hey, thank you very much, and hey, hopefully next week you'll have a better week in football. Thanks for calling. All right, bye-bye. All right. I got to tell you, I'm joking with you a little bit about Baltimore. All I know is I see them playing the Red Sox. I didn't watch a lot of their games during the season, but that lineup is nasty. They got a good team. They got a good pitching staff. They're dangerous. And, Red Sox, I hope for the Red Sox, I get sucked in every damn time. Every damn time I get sucked in. They went from 4.5 to 3 games out of the wild card. And then I started watching it again. And then, of course, boom, right back to 4 games again. You know what I mean? I'm just a diehard. I can't help it.
Yeah, and that's what makes the wild card exciting, Paul. The to have a chance to say, hey, we at least make the playoffs. And that's what's nice about it. For us, yeah, I agree. I like my lineup. There's a few starters that, I can agree with that are solid. As long as my bullpen can come through and hold some leads, I will be happy. So, yeah, it's going to be a long stretch here in September, but I'm hoping that, we finish in first. If we do, that would be great. If we don't, and the Yankees pull it off, at least we make the wild card and get in. But I'm hoping that to finish there and get some home field advantage and see what happens come October. So it should be fun baseball down the road.
Okay, we got a new caller here. We
Yes.
say good evening to Kaya. Welcome to Santos on Sports.
Hello. I just want to say, I know this is very off topic. I just want to say hi to Mr. Santos because he is one of my teachers from the Mandan.
Wow.
And I just missed him. I just wanted to say hi and hello.
Oh, isn't that nice?
Hey, listen, I appreciate it. You can call and say hello to me anytime.
Who I am, his favorite student.
I'm sure Mr. Santos is an excellent teacher, all joking aside.
He is. He very much is. I miss him. But I just want to let him know that I'm watching.
All right. Now, do you watch the Patriots at all? Are you a sports fan at all? Or
yeah, but I don't really know a lot about it. But I just want to say hi to my teacher.
All right.
And
appreciate it. You're a basketball fan.
Yeah.
All right. Go Celtics.
Go Celtics.
Go Celtics.
All right. Well, thank you, Kai, for calling. Appreciate it.
Thank you for calling.
All right. Bye.
Okay. All right. Let's go over to here and say good evening to Ryan from Rochester.
Hey, Ryan.
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh.
Ryan from Rochester, good evening.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Yeah, I'm feeling good tonight. I'm feeling good.
Right, listen, Ryan. Ryan, listen.
Nostradamus over here, baby.
Ryan, listen. If there was a peacock, those feathers would be perched way up, and that's what Paul is right now. The feathers are flying high. He's very excited about this first win. He thinks this team is for real. They're not a fluke, and they're going places. Tell us, are they for real, or do you think that win was a fluke? And what do you expect in the next few weeks?
Well, first off, I'll just lead off by saying, Paul has every right to feel that way. I crapped on him so much for making this pick. So, I'm gracefully calling in and eating my crow.
Yeah, I think you guys both said something like, what was I drinking and all this kind of stuff, if I remember correctly.
Yes, I did.
I said, I think I said that for certain. But what I will say is this, I think it's kind of like a 50-50 between whether they're real or for a fluke.
Right.
And here's what I mean. Defensively, no question about it. They're for real. That wasn't too much. I wasn't too concerned about them that, having this, significant drop off after Bill left, because, it's Gerard Mayo who was elevated. Defensive coordinator was in elevation from the defensive line coach. Most of the defensive staff was intact with the exception of like a few other coaches. But the defensive side of the ball, I wasn't all that concerned about. Offensively, however, I do think it's a fluke, and the main reason being this: let's face it, you're not the way the league is nowadays. You can't run the ball for 120 yards every game, and you can't. And nowadays, with the the high scoring offenses, you got to be able to match the passing game. You're not going to be able to to control the clock and only throw for like 120 yards and no touchdowns through the air and expect to win a game. And listen, I love Ramondre Stevenson to death. But he's a capable like 1,500 yard rusher. But if that's going to be your game plan every week, you're just not going to win consistently. You'll win some games against a slow starting Cincinnati Bengals team of the world. But I think Seattle's going to be looking at the tape this week. With Mike McDonald being the defensive mastermind that he is, it's like, okay, we're shutting that down. Let's see if you can beat us in the passing game. And and there's a stat that's been floated around out there. Like they led the league in pressure rates. I think it was like 48, 49% of the snaps, give or take. So sure, run blocking wise, the offensive line performed pretty well, no question about it. But in terms of pass protection, Jacoby was still getting obliterated back there, and I just don't see that being a sustainable formula because again, someone's going to stop the run sooner or later.
I can agree with that when you're talking 20 to the 20. But if the Patriots can find a way to create turnovers, and I'm going to go back to a Giants team that had Lawrence Taylor and great players. They had a so-so offense with Phil Simms. I'm not saying Phil Simms is this great player, but he was able to maintain. You got to find a way to make first downs, third down conversions, fourth down conversions, time to pick and choose what's right for you. They found 7 or 8 receivers to get the ball to. Stevenson, as you said, ran for 120 yards. Will he do that every week? Absolutely not. But if you can move the chains, you can create turnovers, you can get a defense that just stirs it up. You just might, Ryan, find a way to create so much energy that this offense says, you know what? We're not that bad. I'm not saying you're going to win 15 games, but enough to satisfy, a fan base and get better. And I think that's what this team can do from what I saw in week 1.
Yeah, that's entirely a good point. And like you said, they're definitely not going to be winning
No.
14 or 15 games.
Right.
I just think it's one thing. Like obviously when you get they're probably going to create a bunch of turnovers and give that energy to the offense. But it's one thing to think that you're not that bad as an offense, but then you got to prove it. And there's every team in the league thinks like, oh, we're not this bad offensively. Then they go out and they stink up the joint. So I'm just on the offensive side of the ball, listen, I've pumped Van Pelt's tires as much as anyone, but I just still don't think they have the horses, especially at left tackle, to where they can, let's put it this way. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, that the defense has a bad game, that they don't create many turnovers, that they're kind of just letting a bunch of yards. This isn't the kind of offense that's going to keep up with it. And so if they keep playing like this, I view it as I think you'll hit your bet with 5 wins. I would say somewhere between 6 or 7, but you'll see that they're building towards something.
Can they learn from week 1 offensively and actually get better? Can that happen with the talent on this team? Or is week 1 say, it is what it is. We're not going to get better than that. And, we'll take what's given to us and hopefully we can move the chains now and then. Can you see this team actually improving in the passing more than 121 yards? Can you see him maintaining some good offensive plays and run, not saying 120 yards, but enough that moves chains? Or again, is this a fluke? Or can they be real enough to, put some more pressure on some teams that come in and say, New England is not a walkover. This team is not that bad.
I think there are some incremental improvements that can be made. Like, it's actually funny you mentioned that. I was actually watching early edition on NBC Sports Boston earlier today, and they were talking to Tom Curran and Mike Giardi, because who had gone back and looked at some of the tape. They had a few occasions where, for example, Jalen Polk was in the end zone wide open, just dusting his man. But this goes back to what I was talking about with the left tackle situation. The line had just gotten blown up, so Jacoby didn't really have the time to find Polk at the back of the end zone. So of course he has to run for his life there. So I think in that case you could probably look at the film and say, okay, on this play in this situation with this coverage, he popped excuse me, I almost just cursed there. Wow, he popped wide open. Let's go, 3-step drop, boom, ball's out. He should be open there. So I think there's some incremental improvements that can be made, but with when you got Vidarian Lowe as your starting left tackle, you can only make so many improvements because you're not going to have enough time to really process anything.
Right. One of the things that I noticed, this is just me looking at it kind of in a positive way, right? I think this team has more better players than I recalled once I watched them start to play. For example, we talked about Ramondre Stevenson was out injured for a while. We kind of forgot that he is one of the better running backs in the league. Okay, they added this guy, Tanner Hudson, right? I know a lot about Tanner Hudson. Tanner Hudson is a Pro Bowl tight end. So now he's out there along with Hunter Henry. So now you got 2 really good, solid tight ends, at least one of which, this Tanner Hudson, is a Pro Bowler, okay? Jalen Polk, you just mentioned, maybe he pops onto the scene. He was wide open in the end zone at one point. Defensively, Christian Gonzalez had a great game. Kyle Duggar had a great game. How about this Keon White? I mean, this kid was all over the place. He had 2.5 sacks. Every time I looked up, he was in the face of Burrow, right? Even Josh Uche had a pretty good game on the other side of the ball, not turning the ball over, right? So I'm looking at all these players, and I'm like, and even Jacoby Brissett, right? Okay, he managed the game. A couple of things he did really well. One, he scrambled and ran for first downs 3 times in 3 critical third down situations. He dropped back. There was an avalanche of Niagara Falls coming around him, and he scrambled for the first down on 3 occasions. Number 2, in the clutch, when the chips are on the table, we always talk about players coming through, the chips on the table. Now, again, Jacoby Brissett, average quarterback. He's been a little bit of a journeyman and stuff like that. He's not the next coming of Tom Brady or anything like that just because of one game. But when the chips are on the table, he got them a couple of first downs in the fourth quarter when you really needed it. They needed to get at least a field goal twice in the fourth quarter and was able to manage the team down the field. So I do think that they have more good players than I recalled.
But can you maintain that, Paul? That's the key.
Everything's got to be perfect.
Well, that's what me and Ryan are saying. Can they do this every week? That's what's going to be tough. Now, you got to take one game at a time. Cincinnati's over. We're on to Seattle. How do we stop Seattle? It's Metcalf. It's Kenneth Walker III. Those are the 2 big keys. My thing is stop the run and force Geno Smith's hand. I think if they do that, they get Bentley, who I thought had a tremendous game for the Patriots, and Peppers. You get those 2 guys doing what they're doing and get to Geno Smith. That will be the key. Force Geno to be an elite quarterback. If he does, then they'll beat him. If he can't, I think the Patriots have a shot. Ryan, what do you think?
Well, going back to what Paul was saying about more good players than expected. Yep. Gerard Mayo's saying going all the way back to minicamp that Keon White was one of those guys who had kind of stepped up into a leadership role. So that's probably part of the reason why they were comfortable with trading Matthew Judon, because they saw Keon White's ascension. And you go back to and looking at, and Paul was mentioning the tight ends before. Austin Hooper was a guy that I really liked going all the way back to his Falcons days. And then, of course, he played for Alex Van Pelt in Cleveland with Stefanski for a little bit. He was their leading receiver there. So, I think, Chris, you make a great point too. Like, very much a game plan oriented team. It's this: can you stop Kenneth Walker and make Geno Smith throw it a little bit? And he's had his ups, he's had his downs. The receiver core does concern me a little bit because you talk about Metcalf. Tyler Lockett, I thought, had an excellent game this past week. And you still got Jackson Smith and Jigba, who they picked in the first round this past year, coming into their own. And you got 2. I'm not going to put them as like stalwart tackles yet, but I think Abraham Lucas is a decent right tackle. I think Charles Cross has potential to be like a perennial Pro Bowler at left tackle. So we'll see how that matchup goes.
I'm sorry to bring this up, but I'm looking at Ryan's prediction for the Patriots in 2024. Yep. He had them at 2-15.
Okay.
Which means the Patriots would have to go 1-15 the whole rest of the year.
Hey, anything can happen. So
that could happen. Right?
One game at a time. He mentioned some great players right there. They got a good receiving core, a solid running back. But like I said, I just think they got to put pressure on Geno Smith and make that player right there. Can he be an elite quarterback to say, no big deal, I'll pick them apart and find my receivers? I think, to me, that's what I'm watching for more than anything. Shut the run down and make Geno beat us.
All right, Ryan. Hey, thanks very much for the call, and let's see what happens next week. We're off to a good start.
No problem. Thanks for having me on again.
All right, Ryan from Rochester. If you'd like to get in on the discussion, 774-218-3393. Santos on Sports. Give us a call. Let us know what you think. We got some comments on the comment line. Lisa Carrito, I picked 7 wins, 1 down. Hopefully more to come. And I know Chris has, put a couple of dollars down on this. You got to get 5 wins on the season, right?
Yeah. I want to say a shout out to Landon Almeida for
another student.
Yeah, another student of mine to say hello to Mr. Santos. Always a pleasure, Landon. Don't be afraid to say hello to me at school and a shout out here. That's very nice of you. And hope to see you again on our next show. So,
Are you one of those popular teachers that, that's what
no,
the
I wouldn't say popular.
we're 2 for 2 tonight so far.
Well, listen, I wouldn't say popular, but enough to say that, hey, I know that guy and he's a cool guy. So that's all I care about. And that's what I'm happy with. I love my students. They're a lot of fun. And it's great that they're chiming in on our show, Paul.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. It's always good to connect with a student on the way up the ranks, which is what a good teacher will do. So we're really happy to hear that. Give us a call if you'd like to talk about the Patriots. We're kind of focusing in on the football in week number 1, 774-218-3393. We were talking about Hooper, who had a couple of nice catches. Hunter Henry, I think, had at least one. So that was encouraging. Brissett had a pretty good game. The thing I have to say is, when I say everything had to go perfect, I do think the Patriots were lucky too. Like Cincinnati made some dumb mistakes. I don't know what that receiver was thinking when he tried to put the football into the end zone like this, like the Heisman Trophy. He got karate chopped away. I mean, I think if they score a touchdown there, I don't know if the Patriots win that game. I mean, that was unbelievable. That was huge.
Yeah,
and the Patriots didn't cough up the ball,
Football, Paul. You got to find a way to win the turnover battle.
I know,
but you create your own stuff, and that's what New England did in that game, and they did it on the road. And
but the Patriots, they're not going to go all year without turning the ball over. They're going to have a game where they cough up the ball, and they don't have the kind of team that can overcome that. You know what I mean? Like if you have the high flying, Kansas City Chiefs or Tom Brady back in the day, you fall behind by 2 touchdowns. It doesn't matter, right? This team falls behind by 2 touchdowns. I mean, game over, right? How are they going to come back? They just barely were able to hang on with everything that went right? 2 turnovers by the Bengals and 3 if you count turnover on downs, right? So that's 3 times they got the ball back, and they still just barely won 16-10. So that's what concerns me.
Yeah, no, I understand that. And, one of the things is you win the penalty battle, you win the turnover battle. You find a way to be consistent with your offense. I think they did enough running. Their passing probably could be better, but they're learning about one another. And if their defense continues to play as solid as they do, I think they'll be in a lot of games. So let's see how they work in week 2 with Seattle, and take what you learned from Cincinnati and move one game at a time. And that's all they can look for.
By the way, Lisa, we're happy to have you looking in here today on Santos on Sports again. By the way, if you'd like to give us a call, again, we're happy to have you commenting in the comment line. But if you'd like to give us a call, we can chat a little bit. We're at 774-218-3393. We don't bite. We're a couple of friendly guys.
No, and it doesn't have to be just the Patriots. If you got a great team out there and you want to talk about them, bring them on. I mean, I'm willing to talk about my Cowboys with a great win at Cleveland. Got over 30 points and very surprised they signed Dak right before.
I was going to ask you about that.
I mean, oh my God! I mean,
what a waste of money that was.
Again, Jerry Jones is Jerry Jones, and
come on, man,
he will always be that way. And
who does this guy think he is? That's the second time that he held out. You know what I mean? I'm like, hey, wait a minute, dude. Let's hold your horses there, fella. You know what I mean? Like, this guy hasn't shown me enough to get that kind of a contract.
Yeah, very surprised. I mean, I'm not surprised in one way because that's how Jerry usually does things. But at the same time, if you're making 60 million a year, you better do a little bit more than just a first round of a playoff. So he's got a lot on his shoulders now, and that is time to step up. So I'm letting him know. I'm sure a lot of fans will let him know. But it's a good start for the Cowboys. I like the way their defense have played on the Mike Zimmer. Zeke did enough to say, hey, what's he got in the tank? It showed a little bit of what we need. And I just hope it continues with Lamb getting better and this offense gelling a little bit more. So a good start winning in Cleveland. Never easy to win at the dog pound. Happy with it. And let's see where they go from here.
One down and hopefully more to come for the Dallas Cowboys for the sake of our good friend here, Chris Santos. Hey, you're talking about penalties before, right?
Yeah.
I sit down to watch the Patriots, right? And I'm like, all right, I don't know what to expect here. I'm not sure if they're going to be great or terrible or mediocre or whatever. I sit down before the game even starts on the opening kickoff. They have a procedure penalty. Did you see that? The guy stepped up front, went back. It's like legal procedure. Patriots. I'm like, they can't even get out of square one without a penalty. Oh my God, this is going to be a disaster. So I was chuckling to myself when I saw that. I know there are a lot of Patriot fans with gloom and doom, they were probably thinking the same thing. Like, look at this. They can't even get out of the first play without a problem.
Well, 5 penalties for 40 yards. The Bengals had 2 penalties for 10 yards. So, that's not that bad, number one. Number two, I think the officials are real ticky-tacky about how these offensive linemen are lining up. And they're calling a lot of penalties. And I'm like scratching my head going, geez, the guy looks like he's an inch away from the other guy, and yet you're calling these penalties. So I thought it was interesting to see there, and it was going on all over the league. So teams have to be aware of that. But 5 for 40, that's not that bad.
Right. And that first one, though, he was way off. He jumped on that particular play. I know you're talking about that lining up on the line of scrimmage call that they've been calling, right? I don't know if they figure, I mean, you're an X's and O's guy, right? If you're on the offensive line and you line up maybe that half a step back, does that give you an advantage when you're trying to block for the quarterback?
I don't know about that much. I mean, again, a half a yard. I don't think it's that bad. Yeah, I know guys want to get out and, set their position, but I think the officials went a little bit overboard in some of the things that I saw that looked a little weird to me, saying, that's quite interesting. So I'll be surprised if it continues, even though I think sometimes every year the officials have something in their ear going, don't forget about this. And that might be one of them that, they're pulling off in the league this year to say, keep an eye on that. So we'll watch for it.
I think Hockley's trying to get his television time over there. He just loves to get out there and make that big speech and everything.
That's Pipes Hockley right there.
Yeah, there's a couple of guys. There's a few of them that are pretty jacked.
Yeah.
Lisa Carrito says it looked like flag football out there. Yeah, that could very well be. And Steve Lavoie, how is Dallas going to handle the new Saints offense this week?
Oh, wow. Here we go. Listen, the Saints play Carolina, probably one of the worst teams in the league. They run it up on them. They smoke them. Now, all of a sudden, Steve Lavoie, a big Saints fan, Super Bowl in his brain after they beat Carolina. Okay, settle down, Steve. Let's see what happens this week. Good team. Kamara, very good. I like what they've showed. Let's see what Mike Zimmer can hopefully dial in. I'm sure we'll hear from Steve next week, definitely, if the Saints beat the Cowboys. But I'm not high on them just yet. Again, it was Carolina, who's having a very difficult couple of seasons since Bryce Young has come aboard, and they're a little young right now. So I hear what he's saying. I listen. I got Alvin Kamara, a couple of my fantasy leagues who I like, and a couple more. So I kind of like some of those players, but I don't like them this week when they play in Dallas. So let's go, boys.
Every time I see that guy Kamara out there, I'm thinking, I think he's from the south end of New Bedford. Him and Pacheco, for Kansas City. Although he says Pacheco, but hey, it's close enough. That's still my people. I don't care what they say.
Tomato, it don't matter here, Paul.
Hey, you talk about Steve Lavoie. I didn't know there were that many Saints fans around. So you mean to tell me that
listen. He's one of a few.
He's thinking about Drew Brees all these years later.
Oh yeah. No, but he listen, I've known him since high school. He's been a Saint fan for years. He follows them. We're in a fantasy league together, and we had great conversations during that time, and we chuckled and laughed the entire draft. So it was a lot of fun. So it's great to see him out here and enjoying our show and chiming in.
Well, it was a long time ago now that the Saints won with Drew Brees, but it was even longer ago than that since the Cowboys won.
No, that's true. Absolutely true. You get to the playoffs, and you're expecting high expectations when you get there. And listen, the team that's made the playoffs most in the NFL are the Dallas Cowboys. But when you get there, you have to do something. And when you're 1-out, maybe 2-out, it's just not enough for that organization. They need to be better. You signed a big contract. You need to be better. Hopefully, it happens this year or the upcoming 4 years that we have Dak Prescott.
Well, the big game to start the season was Baltimore and Kansas City, and what a great game that was. Just phenomenal. Patrick Mahomes, once again, I mean, you got to give this guy credit. I mean, he does things that I don't think any quarterback has done except him. I mean, he has the combination of the mental ability combined with the athleticism, which I think is sort of unique.
Yep.
Tom Brady was like, that field general, and he could diagnose that defense, and he, greatest quarterback of all time, no question. But this guy, he does a lot of stuff that is just phenomenal. The way he can kind of move around and so elusive and everything. However, he was fortunate. He was lucky. Lamar Jackson, he led his team down the field, and hey, they almost won. If it wasn't for that toe out of the end zone, Baltimore could possibly have won the game. But what a great start to the NFL season with Kansas City and, of course, Baltimore.
Yeah, it's a different era from what Tom Brady, who was a pocket passer, the most accurate quarterback I've ever seen, can thread a needle better than anyone ever. These guys now are more creative. They're more of a running style. They can flee the pocket, which, Paul, no offense, you could run faster than Tom Brady easily because Tom was not a flashy runner. But he'd get enough. If I need 1 yard, I'm going to get that 1 yard. And that's all Tom cared about. But these guys, they just have a different sense and create. They feel the pressure a little bit more. They feel it better. They know when to flush the pocket. They know when to get out. And they just do a lot of creativeness that we haven't seen in a long time. So it's that new era. It's that new generation. Definitely Patrick's one of them. Lamar's another who likes to run as well. So, yeah, I'm expecting that. We've seen it back to back Super Bowls from them. So I'm not surprised what I saw in that game. Very impressive. Teams will have to, really focus in on how do we stop Patrick, and force the ball out of his hands and let someone else beat them. So teams got work out for them in the AFC. They have to find a way to stop those two guys who are very talented.
I think with Patrick Mahomes, the thing that makes him different than, say, the Lamar Jacksons and some of the other players who also run is that I think now at the beginning of his career, I think he took some chances and he ran a little bit too much and he took some hits. And they told him, hey, Patrick, if you want to be in this league for a while, you better think about passing first and running second. So I think he has the ability to drop back and kind of be in the pocket, and he can make the pocket pass, but then he can also duck out of the pocket. He can feel the pressure and then not only run for the first down, sometimes he's running away and almost like, I don't know, he's like in the middle of a full sprint. And then he still releases the ball and drops it right in a spot where it's supposed to be. And I'm like, how in the world did he throw that ball in a full run, on a full sprint, and have him almost like off balance and drop it right into the lap of one of the receivers? I mean, he's just a talented individual, no question.
Yeah, and he's gotten better, Paul. He got smart. He took off a couple of times his first and second year, and he took some hits, and he had some knee injuries, and he said, you know what? I'm not doing a lot of this. I can throw the ball. I can make things happen. I can scramble and not have to run and make my offense go. So he's learned a lot. And I think Lamar needs to do that a little bit more too. He better be careful. I saw Jaden Daniels this week. He better be careful too. There's some guys that can run, but today's game, these guys are so big and fast. You got to watch out because they get up on you fast and they'll hurt you. So those quarterbacks better be careful. But no, I can agree. He's adjusted well. That's why he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And Josh Allen too is another one.
Well, Lisa Corrido is asking a question, a topic that we touched upon a little bit earlier, but we'll definitely go back to it. She asks, what did you guys think of Brady's first game commentating? I thought he was okay. Not great, just okay for a first time. Well, I got to tell you, Chris and I have both announced games here at the local level for a long time. And I got to tell you, even whether it's high school games or college games, Chris and I have done both. He's done more color and I've done play-by-play.
Right.
But I have to tell you, like, you do a game for the first time, it can be, it can be the Pop Warner team and you're kind of nervous. You got to get comfortable and all that. Think about this. Even though Tom Brady is the GOAT and everything else and can diagnose a defense and knows so much more about the game than you and I, right? We're talking about him starting for the very first time as a commentator at the NFL level as the number one announcer. He never had a chance to go, do some high school games, do some college games, work his way up the ranks, get comfortable, and he's there because he's Tom Brady. So I think that was a disadvantage. I really thought that he was a little nervous, almost a little uncomfortable. Really, I think he's going to have to grow into the job. Now, could he improve and really be much better by the end of the year? Absolutely. He's going to study. He's going to work hard at it. But I have to tell you, I felt a little bad because I'm listening to it and I'm like, gee, I don't think he was that good.
I agree with you, Paul. I thought he was average. Okay. As Lisa said, I thought he was okay. I think he needs to set a more of an identity to himself as a commentator, be a little bit more, explicit, a little more creative, a little more high energy, not over the top like some people will say Romo does. But Tony will really come out and give you what he's thinking and what really happens. And most of the time, he's pretty accurate. And Tom was more of, you can't have negative plays to score points. Well, okay, Tom, we know that you can't do that. So, he was just very blah, average. I thought he could have been better, and I'm expecting him to be better. Now, great players, Chris Collinsworth, a guy who is a studier, a film guy. I know Romo is too, and they may be over the edge. And maybe Tom will do a little bit more of that as well. So, yeah, I thought he was okay, but, I think he'll work on it and get better.
Well, I see Scott Tavera on the line over here, and he makes a very bold statement. He's actually called me a number of times when I was on the radio station, and he says the Patriots might surprise this year. Well, Scott, give us a call.
Might surprise number. How? Like 7 wins, 10 wins, 15 wins? What's the surprise? Are you going by what you saw in the Cincy game? Was that a fluke? Are they for real? Call us, Scott. Let us know what you think.
That's right. 774-218-3393. I mean, if you can call me when I'm a WBSM where people are just like throwing grenades at each other, then this is a piece of cake. I mean, that's a tough one to navigate there, Chris, as you know. But this one here, this is a piece of cake. But anyway, here's the call. 774-218-3393. Lisa also says, I love Tony when he commentates games. I got to tell you, I liked him better at the beginning.
I did too.
I think he was better at the beginning, and now he just kind of like, a lot of times he's looking at defense and he goes like, and it's just like, just stop talking because my head is spinning. Just stop that. And then it's a thing that I don't like when I do play-by-play, color guy that keeps talking over the play-by-play. Once they crack and they go up to the line of scrimmage, just stop and let me watch the play. You know what I mean? So he definitely goes a little overboard. But
I think so too.
Yeah. The other thing that Tom has to learn too is, a guy like him needs to get into the tidbits. Now, there was a nice pass thrown to Brandon Cooks. Well, I happened to be at a game where he threw a touchdown to Brandon Cooks when he was on the Patriots, and it was in the fourth quarter and eventually won the game. I talked about it before.
Yes.
So when he scored that touchdown, I'm like, oh, man, I remember when Tom played with Brandon Cooks. That would have been like the perfect opportunity and say, oh, what a great play with Brandon Cooks. I played with Brandon Cooks back in the Patriots, and he's a hard worker, and he's got a lot of speed, and he's a smart guy, and he knows how to do, just tell me something about like that kind of thing, like that personalized thing. I think that's the thing that he could bring to the table with all the knowledge, all the years that he's been, in the game. I mean, he could do that all day.
Yeah, I like a guy who, Paul, there's a penalty, let's say on the first play, and it's, second down and 20. I like to get an idea what Tom's thinking right now. And even as they come out of the huddle and they set up, and Tom could say, hey, I got 3 to the left, 1 to the right. I like my matchup on the right. That's what I'm looking for. I want to hear some things that what's happening before the play goes. And then as the play develops, we see, hey, Tom was right. And that, so you kind of get this creativity of what a quarterback and an offensive coordinator is thinking and during the game. So when you see it another time and those guys ain't doing it, you can say, you know what? I think this might be coming up because Tom and such said that, and Tony said that, I like things like that. And it helps me out. So it makes me think more what's going on during the game, not just like, okay, what am I watching here? So I kind of like that. I think you'll get better.
I got to tell you something. Here, right? you and me, right? We like a guy that answers a challenge. If you put a challenge out there, I want the guy to answer the challenge.
course.
So we sent a challenge out there to Scott Tavares. Said, hey, Scott, you're coming over here. You're
Yep.
calling on WBSM where they're
Awesome.
doing all these political arguments, my head spinning, everything else. Call the sports show to be a piece of cake. So Scott answers the bell. Scott from Mattapoisett. Welcome to Santos on Sports.
Buddy,
Good evening. How's things going?
God, things are
how
going
you
terrific,
doing?
especially after that first Patriots win there. That was really enjoyable.
Scott,
Oh,
Pat's
it was an unexpected. So I think the Patriots, like I said in my quote, may surprise a lot of people this year. I know they were predicted to win 4, maybe 5 games. But let me tell you, you heard it here first from Mattapoisett. You heard it here, Paul Santos on the Santos on Sports Show. I'm predicting that the Patriots will win 10 games.
Oh, come on, man.
Whoa. Hey, listen, Paul, right? Paul, get your pencil out.
What's this guy drinking?
Paul, get your pencil out. Write
I
that
might have
down.
Some nice bourbon, but I still say the Patriots are going to win 10 this season.
I think he's drinking Madeira wine. That's what I think.
Wow, write that down,
A
Paul.
couple of months ago.
All right, wait a minute. Scott from Mattapoisett.
Write that down.
They're going to go
10 games.
10 and 7. All right,
Listen,
now why do you say that?
I know Marion's a popular place and kind of ritzy. What are they serving over there now?
No, Mattapoisett.
Oh, Mattapoisett. Yeah,
No, that's
another
ritzy
place.
too. That's ritzy
Yeah,
too.
yeah. What are they serving over there? Whoa, 10 wins.
Lobster.
Wow.
You got to remember, Mattapoisett is special.
Ooh.
I think they got lobster down there. Like it's a bougie kind of a place. You know what I mean? So why do you think they're gonna be that successful to go all the way up to 10 games?
What surprised you, Scott? What surprised you to say they have a chance to win 10 games?
Well, I think they got a decent defense.
Yep.
And to be honest with you, I think if they can score enough in certain games, I know, it may be close in some where they lose. But I'm really seeing a decent team. I know it was week 1, but looking at it, I did have a lot more hope after watching the game than I did preseason. But that's what I'm going with, and that's what I'm sticking with.
You know how I always go to the Celtic games and the Bruin games and the games that I go to, the home team tends to lose. Well, here's a guy that used to go to Miami to see the Patriots play, and even when Tom Brady was there, they used to lose that game more often than not. Remember that, Scott?
Correct. Yeah, I think I used to jinx them when I used to go down there and watch the game. It was unbelievable. We go down there, and the Patriots would end up losing. I think most of the times when we went down to Miami.
Hey, the lady here. There's a lady here, Lisa Coito, who's been commenting as well. She says, I hope Scott is right. But then she goes on to say, I had a few refreshments when I went with a 7-win year.
Oh, I'm drinking whole milk. It does the body good.
Oh, boy.
All right. Hey.
Well, hold on, people. Let me ask you this question, Paul.
Sure.
Scott, do you think Brissett carries the whole year, or do we see Drake May, and yet May will carry you to 10 wins?
I say Brissett. I'm going with Brissett.
Okay.
All right.
There you go.
Looks like it was the right decision to start with him anyway. Hey, Scott, nice to hear from you. Thanks very much. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, my friend. Take care and keep the faith.
All right. Scott
Thanks,
from
Scott.
Mattapoisett, a new caller here on Santos on Sports. Oh,
Love
boy.
it.
Wow. 10 wins.
10
Boy.
wins, Paul. Wow.
So I'm looking down the schedule here. For them to get to even 500, let's see. You and I had games that we thought they would win, like Tennessee, Chicago, Indianapolis, Arizona, the LA Chargers, right? But then you look at the Jets. I don't know, man. I don't know. The Jets, they didn't look that great. I know they're playing a good team and everything, so they can't go by that. Obviously, Miami, they're tough. Houston, they're tough. I mean, I'm trying to see who else they would beat to get to that level. Maybe the LA Rams are kind of inconsistent. They can be at times. So I don't know. That's going to be tough.
How about on Sunday, Arizona puts up 28 points.
They did.
And Buffalo wins 34-28.
Yeah.
That's surprising. That's why I'm looking for tomorrow night's game to see if Buffalo goes to Miami and shows a better performance than what they showed against Arizona, because Arizona was leading there for a bit.
They were.
And they were scaring Buffalo, and Buffalo had to come back. So how good is this Buffalo defense to say, whoa, wait a minute now. If we can slow Josh Allen down, maybe we find a way to win this game. So, I'll be real curious how Miami plays them tomorrow night in Miami on Thursday Night Football.
I'm watching the Patriots game, right? And a lot of times I'll go over to the red zone, but the Patriots game had me so so glued to the
Yep.
set that I
Yep.
I really didn't go to the red zone as early as I would have. But I was looking at the bottom of the screen and they kept putting up the score, and I'm like, holy crap, Arizona's beating Buffalo. What the heck is going on here? And then of course
Yep.
Buffalo ended up coming back to win the game. But my dream was this was my dream. I was thinking, oh, wouldn't this be great? Wouldn't this be great? After week one, the Patriots are in sole possession of first place in the AFC East. It didn't work out, but for a few moments there, it was looking like a possibility,
Now, Paul, I'm going to solve your problem.
Yes.
Come to this place right here, and you can watch the red zone and the Patriots at the same time.
Yes, I know.
Haven't I rubbed off on you at all to know that this is what you need to do?
Not only do you have the Patriots and the red zone at the same time, it looks like you have another television left over.
Well, there's a third, the Cowboys get on that one too.
Yeah.
If they happen to be on the same time. But usually Dallas is 4:00 while you guys are at 1:00. So listen, anytime, Paul, come on over and we can watch the red zone and the two other games, and you can root for whoever you want during that time. A lot going on here.
Well, I'm enjoying the fact that because, Chris, if you didn't hear about it last week, Chris put a few bucks.
I did.
I'm not going to repeat the amount unless he wants to say it, but he did put a significant amount of money.
I did.
It's okay if we say what it is.
Sure, you can.
Yeah, he built up a $500.
I did.
A $500 what? A $500 pile.
Right.
Right. He kind of built it up over time.
Sure.
So at the beginning of the season, he takes the whole thing, the old Jeopardy James thing we talked about last week, and he does one of these, and he puts the whole thing in there and says the Patriots are going to win what? They have to win at least 5, right?
5 games.
It seems so much. I mean, this last game wasn't an expected win by most observers.
Listen,
right?
I'll take whatever I can get.
So the whole rest of the year just to get 4. I mean, I think that looks pretty good. I think they look pretty good.
Lisa had 7, Scott had 10. Man, I'm rooting for those two right there. I'm like this going, come on, Scotty, come on, Lisa. So yeah, that's what I ended up doing. And you know what? It's just house money in the way I look at it. So if it doesn't work out, it's not costing me anything. If it does, hey, an adventure for me.
So when Stevenson ran for that last first down, which put the game on ice, right? At my house, I was like, yes, we're going to win the game. Yes, I got kind of like jumped up in the living room and gave it a couple of pumps, I'm thinking, hey, maybe Chris Santos, who bleeds the Dallas Cowboy blue. Maybe he's like pumping his fist over there in his living room in the man cave at the same time.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but I just sat there and said, kneel, don't turn the ball over, do the right things, and you'll be fine. So, no, I'm quite happy with what I saw. Looking forward to this Seattle game and first home game. Let's hope they compete and they play, inspiring football.
All right. So if you had a choice between winning the $1,000, right, the Patriots, win 5 games, or the Patriots don't win the 5 games, you lose the money, but Dallas wins the Super Bowl. Clearly, it's going to be Dallas wins the Super Bowl, right?
Oh, wow. That's always nice.
Wait a minute. The almighty dollar is taking over here. Come on now.
Bragging rights is always nice to have for a full year. But, talking with people and bragging rights compared to the almighty dollar.
All right, so if you had a choice between the Patriots winning the 5 games or the Dallas Cowboys winning the Super Bowl, and you had to do one or the other, right? What would it be?
Yep. Am I getting paid if the Cowboys win the Super Bowl?
Well, no, I'm saying not because you don't have any money on it right
now. Sheesh. Well, that's
I thought for sure you were going to let the money go just to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that would be nice because it's been a while. So,
but yeah,
probably that.
No, but a grand is a grand. You know what I mean? That's not chump change to you. That's a significant. I know what your real dream is. Your dream is to have both, right? Patriots win the 5 games and they win the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
the Cowboys.
That would be nice, wouldn't it?
And Chris Dupont commenting, Cowboys guy. Is he a Cowboys guy? Chris Dupont, I guess is. Yeah, he's putting up the star there. Yep. Cowboys are going to go 10-6-1. Okay, Scott Tavera. So Scott thinks that the Cowboys and the Patriots are going to win the same amount of games. Wow, that's a real interesting one there.
Well, listen, if the Cowboys and the Pats win the same amount of games, Boy, I
You
might
gotta wear a Patriots hat on Santos
no, no,
on
no, no.
Sports.
I might have
Huh?
to put the money. I might have to put the money I win and give it to Scott. Oh God!
I know, huh? All right. Well, let's take our opportunity right now to thank our sponsors: Scotty's Pub, 202 Pleasant Street in Fall River, Citywide Glass, with 3 locations to serve you in Dartmouth, Fall River, and Taunton. Lakeville Athletic Club in Lakeville, Massachusetts, where you can play tennis and pickleball. And Attorney John B.C., attorney at law, 156th 8th Street in New Bedford. And you can go to his website at johnlaw.com or John BC law.com. I'm sure you start typing that in, you'll find it. Lisa Corrido, Scott Tavera, thank you for typing in. Chris DuPont. We also had, we had Ryan from Rochester, Landon Almeida. We had Kai, who also called in. So thank you very much for your contribution, Steve Lavoie. And hey, it should be a very interesting week number 2. That Seattle game, boy, they need to win that one. They need to win that one so that they can just, now that they got that first one against Cincinnati, they got to win this home opener. They just got to win it. They just got to win the home opener. I don't want this to end, my happiness, I don't want it to end so abruptly.
Yeah, well,
he's not buying it.
Yeah, easier said than done there. The good part is, yeah, they're home. They're getting a team, Paul, remember, from the West Coast to the East Coast. And that's usually not good for West Coast teams. They struggle.
Right. I heard about that too. Yes. Yeah, right.
They struggle when they come here. So that's something you're going to have to look into. But to me, this game comes down to Geno Smith. Simple as that.
You have the Patriots winning this game when we went game by game, remember?
I did. Yeah. But I didn't have them winning the first one. So now it makes me even.
All right, we'll see. It's been a fun start to the season, that's for sure. And going to get to all the other sports as well as we proceed along. Hey, for Chris Santos, I'm Paul Santos. Thank you very much for joining Santos on Sports. And we hope to talk to you again next week. Have a great night.